Hello, everybody. All right, so we're gonna do that. Anyways, welcome to the Mikestand, everybody. Hopefully, everybody's having a good day today. Today is Tuesday, November 18th, so we're gonna give people a chance to come in before we get started. Um, friendly reminder to everybody, of course, if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. As I said, we're just waiting for more people to show up, so let me just try something here. All right, so there we go with that. Hopefully that will. All right, let's see who's all here. Hello, let's see. What? Hi, Papa. Hello. Let's see. And hello. You look confused. Well, no, I was just getting some stuff done real quick here. I may have looked a little bit more like distracted, but not confused. Anyways, welcome to the Mic Stand. I hope everybody's having a good day today. Um, of course. So what we're going to do now? So I guess now that we have some people in here, I'll talk about what's on tap for tonight. I'm going to go over some articles from MeTV Tunes talking about some scheduling updates coming up here. Some special programming events that they're going to be doing here in the near future, for Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Also, learn a little bit more about kind of a lost cartoon in terms of most people when they hear Tom and Jerry, they think of Tom Cat and Jerry Mouse from MGM. But before Tom and Jerry, the cat and mouse, there was a human duo named Tom and Jerry, um, from Van Buren Company. So we're gonna learn a bit more about them. Um, I just um, so with all that being said, why don't we go ahead and get ready to get started here? So check some things out here. All right, so with all that being said, of course, let's go ahead and get started here then. Um, all right. That should help things out a little bit. Anyways, all right, so we'll get into the first article here. All right, so celebrate Thanksgiving on MeTV Tunes with rabbits, ducks, and no turkeys. We're serving up a heaping helping of tunes and seconds. Article published yesterday at 11:51 a.m. So this is also something they did last year as well in terms of um, a Thanksgiving special. So let's get into this. So we hope you're hungry for cartoons. This Thanksgiving, our menu featured rabbits, ducks, and no turkeys. MeTV Tunes is serving up an all-day Thanksgiving marathon feast of Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck cartoons. For our first Thanksgiving as a channel, we are going to stuff your day with the very best of Bugs, Daffy, Elmer, Fudd, and even Porky Pig. Well, they did this last year though as well, so I don't. It's not the first time they did it; it's more like the second. But, anyways, so let's get talk. So, rabbits, ducks, and no turkeys begins on Thanksgiving, November 27th at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific, with over 90 different cartoons. Just like preparing a Thanksgiving meal, this marathon is an all-day affair, going until 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 Central, 8 Pacific. From Daffy Ducks to Wascally Wabbits, MeTV Tunes has the holiday main course for you. Our menu features classic shorts and fan favorites going back to the very beginning of Looney Tunes and Merry Melody, meaning going back all the way back to the 1930s when it all started. These cartoons are so good, you'll come back for seconds. Here's a little taster of our Thanksgiving lineup. And if you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. And it looks like I goofed here. There we go, back to that. I got a couple. Alright then. Alright, so anyways, back to it then here. Alright, so holiday for drumsticks. A hillbilly brings a turkey back to the farm for Thanksgiving, and Daffy tells him their intentions. Bugs bonnets. Bugs and Elmer Fudd exchange blows when wearing different hats that give them different person. Oh yeah, I've seen this. I saw this a couple times recently. One's kind of a funny one where for each type of hat they wear, they take on the different personalities. So, a hunter cap, obviously, a baseball cap, a kind of a fedora, a woman's bonnet, all that. Let's see. Bushy hair. After drifting far out to sea while holding on to a bunch of balloons, Bugs Bunny is rescued by a passing stork, only to be delivered into a mother kangaroo's pouch. Okay. So I guess by way of stork, Bugs takes a little side trip to Australia, the land down under, as they call it. Let's see. Duck, Rabbit, Duck. Oh yes, this classic, the start to this classic trilogy. Bugs and Daffy argue over the technicalities of whether it's duck season or rabbit season. I'm sure we've all seen that one where where it's like, so Elmer's pointing the gun at Bugs. He goes duck season, and then Daffy goes back rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, duck season, fire! Ah. Oh. Hmm. All right. So, anyways, so let's see. A wild hare. Oh yes, Bugs' first official appearance, I believe. While hunting rabbits, Elmer Fudd comes across Bugs Bunny, who tricks and harasses the hunter. Um, and there are a number of other cartoons that were made as derivatives of that particular cartoon. Let's see. Rabbit Fire. Elmer's out hunting when Bugs and Daffy each try to trick him into shooting the other. Rabbit. Oh yeah, I think that was part of that trilogy I was telling you about. One that started with Duck, Rabbit, Duck. Hillbilly Hare. Bugs makes a wrong turn and ends up in the Ozarks, where he meets the end barrels of two hillbillies. Well, yeah, that's the Golden Yeggs. Daffy becomes a hotshot celebrity when he supposedly, quote unquote, lays a 24-karat gold egg. His fame brings him riches, which in turn attracts mobsters. Mm-hmm. Beanstalk Bunny. In this classic Jack and the Beanstalk tale, Daffy takes on the role of Jack and is accompanied by wisecracking Bugs. The Scarlet Pumpernickel. Sick of doing comedy, Daffy finally gets a dramatic role. The movie is about a swashbuckler who must battle the bad guys while saving his lady fair. What's opera, Doc? Academy Award winner right here. Elmer Fudd is hunting Bugs Bunny and chases him into an opera acting out their characters. Baton Bunny. Bugs takes on the unexpected role of being an orchestra conductor. Let's see. Pre-hysterical Hare. Let's see. Running from Elmer, Bugs wonders why there is an annual rabbit hunting season. Bugs looks back in time to 10,000 BC and sees that even back then there was a rabbit hunting season. Now, mind you, again, these are cartoons that you can watch on MeTV Tunes, on Thanksgiving. So if you have either through Friendly TV or through Direct TV, and you want to spend some time with Bugs, Daffy, and Elmer, well, there you go. Let's see now. I'm just checking here to see if any comments are coming up. Again, feel free to comment and or ask questions if anything here grabs your attention. So. All right. So, anyways, we continue on here. Let's see now. All right. Quick shot. Daffy tries to make Elmer stop shooting ducks, but more of his efforts backfire on him. The stupid Cupid. Daffy gets hit by Elmer Fudd's Cupid arrow. Oh boy. Let's see. Haredevil Hair. Bugs gets blasted into space with a payload of carrots. He makes it all the way to the moon and meets Marvin the Martian and stops him from blowing up the Earth. Yep. Let's see. Duck Dodgers in Attack of the Drones. In order to stop an alien invasion, Duck Dodgers creates an army of drones who are all exact copies of himself. Let's see. Rabbit of Seville. Elmer's hunting for Bugs lands them both on stage at the Hollywood Bowl. And many, many more after all these cartoons. If you're still hungry for more, we'll also be airing a special Thanksgiving episode of Tune In with me at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 Central, 8 p.m. Pacific. So watch Bugs Bunny and Friends on MeTV Tunes weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 Central, 6 Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific, and Sundays at 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, and 9 a.m. Pacific. All right, so there we go with that one. So, hey there, Fish Shozo. Just coming in. Well, thanks for popping in, my friend. Anyways, I do need to step away for a moment, but I will put some music on for you guys when I'm gone. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. All right, I'm back. I didn't hit it hard enough there. Anyways, let's get ready to move on to the next article here. So that's happening on Thanksgiving Day itself, and also starting up last year. MeTV also had a special Black Friday marathon. Now, most of us, when we think of Black Friday, of course, think of the big shopping day, the day after Thanksgiving, where everybody's getting, making a mad dash to their local department stores and trying to get at least some of their Christmas shopping done quickly. But MeTV Tunes has something a little different in mind for the Black Friday crowd. MeTV Tunes presents Black and White Friday. Do not adjust your television screens. We are black and white for the day. This article was published today. So let's take a look at this then. This Black Friday, which will be next Friday, the 28th, we encourage you to stay home. Online shopping is more convenient than getting crowded in a department store, and you can do it in your pajamas. Okay. While you add everything to your cart, why not watch some cozy nostalgic cartoons? MeTV Tunes declares this Black Friday to be black and white Friday. Join us for an all-day marathon of classic black and white cartoons, including Popeye, Betty Boop, and many early Looney Tunes cartoons. This year, we also have the addition of cartoons from the Thunderbeam collection, including the classic Van Buren Tom and Jerry cartoons, which are different from our usual cat and mouse cartoons. And I'll tell you a little bit more. They got an article here on that Tom and Jerry as well. The Tom and Jerry that they're talking about here. Well, for those of you who've never heard of that particular Tom and Jerry, we will get you all caught up on that. So we are taking you on a fun little journey to the past, specifically to the 1930s and 1940s on November 28th from 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific, to 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 Central, 8 p.m. Pacific. We will be airing our favorites. We'll be airing old favorites and some rare gems of the black and white cartoon era. As the only TV network destination dedicated exclusively to classic animation, we love learning about and preserving animation history and sharing these vintage cartoons with you, and is a core part of our mission. So when you tune in to MeTV Tunes on Black Friday, we'll be in black and white all day long. Do not adjust your television sets. Rather, stay home in your cozies and join us for a journey into the origins of animation. Here's a glimpse into what we are showing. You ought to be in pictures. Now, I saw this one about a month or so ago. Daffy Duck tries to usurp Porky Pig's job through devious means, in this wild blend of live action and animation. Yeah, you get Warner Brothers. You get appearances from many of the many live action performances from many of the Warner Brothers creative staff, including Leon Schlesinger himself and Michael Maltese as a studio security guard. Piano tuners. Tom and Jerry work as piano tuners. Now, as we said, this Tom and Jerry was produced by Van Buren, and we'll again talk more about that. Let's see. A Dream Walking. Popeye and Bluto are awakened from their sleep by the sound of Olive Oyl sleepwalking. Prehistoric Porky. Caveman Porky, searching for a new fursuit, finds the animals violently reluctant to part with their pelts. Betty Boop's little pal. Pudgy makes his first appearance and ruins Betty's picnic. Pudgy the pup. What a nightmare! Popeye has a nightmare in which he is unable to save Olive Oyl from Bluto. What a night! Tom and Jerry end up at a haunted house. Porky and Daffy. When fight manager Porky gets boxer Daffy a bout with the champion, Daffy's wild antics wreak havoc. When my ship comes in, Betty Boop dreams of what she'll do if she wins the sweepstakes. Don't we all do that? Well, haven't we all had that dream before of what would happen? Well, in today's case, it's not the sweepstakes. It's more like the lotto is what we talk about. People said they ripped each other off, with Tom and Jerry and Bugs Bunny both doing the same thing. Well, that was one type of cartoon. I know what you're talking about. Rabbit Rhapsody from Warner Brothers, and then I think the Cat Concerto, where Bugs was the conductor of an orchestra at the Hollywood Bowl, and then Tom and Jerry from the Cat and Mouse duo. That whole conductor episode. Yep. Yeah, I'm well aware of that. Of course, in Tom and Jerry, they're going to be showing on Friday here. The ones that they're talking about are not MGM's Tom and Jerry. They're not the characters created by William Hanna and Joseph Barbera. They're talking about a series, short series that was done back in the early 30s from Van Buren Studios. What they're talking about here. Let's see. Let's celebrate. Popeye, Bluto, Olive Oyl, and her grandma are in a dance contest. That's when basically Bluto and Popeye come to Olive's house to take her out for New Year's Eve, and she doesn't want to leave her grandma home alone, so Popeye invites her along as his date. So, Barnyard Bunk. Tom and Jerry help an old farmer who has let his home go by the wayside. Morning, noon, and night. Betty Boop and her feathered friends must save a baby bird from the Tomcats Club, featuring a live action introduction. The Daffy Doc. Porky is chased by his surgeon assistant Daffy. Daffy pursues Porky with a saw and various other surgical instruments because he was fired. Maybe for being a little too daffy, maybe? Let's see now. Watch Black, in parentheses, and White, Friday on MeTV Tunes. Black Friday starting at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. 5 a.m. Pacific. So, that's the first two articles. And initially, these were the only two articles we're going to do, but I had noticed that they added a third, which is one that should be of some interest to you, finding out this other Tom and Jerry duo that ran in the early 30s. So let's go ahead and get into that one then. And again, friendly reminder to everybody, if you hadn't already, if you guys can help out by liking, sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, with that being said, let's get back to the article here. Everything you need to know about Tom and Jerry. No, not that Tom and Jerry. And what they mean by that, not the cat and mouse from MGM. This was published earlier today. They are right there. So there's another Tom and Jerry joining Cartoon All Stars. And it's not the cat and mouse. Recently, MeTV Toons acquired the Thunderbean collection, which includes several restored public domain cartoons from Van Buren Studios. The first cartoon from this collection, featured on Cartoon All-Stars and Black and White Friday, is Tom and Jerry. Now, Van Buren was a company that, of course, they also had Rainbow Parade in the late 30s there and they even did like three color Felix the Cat episodes, shorts. So Van Buren came to an end, I believe it was in 1936, but they had been, in the, for much of the much of the infancy of animation as we know it. Van Buren was a part of, along with, of course, Walt Disney and Charles Mintz, and even Walter Lantz. So, so let's get a little bit more. So, but what sets the human Tom and Jerry cartoon apart from the classic cat and mouse? But what sets the human Tom and Jerry cartoon apart from the classic cat and mouse cartoon? Here is a list of all the details you need to know about the original cartoon series. Which one's which? Tom is the tall one. Jerry is the short one. Alas, very similar to of course, the comedic duo of the 30s and 40s, Laurel and Hardy, right? Tom's the tall, thin one right there. Jerry's a short, fat one. First cartoon. Number 2. First cartoon. Tom and Jerry's first cartoon was What a Night, which premiered on August 1st, 1931. August 1st, 1931. So that was 94 years ago, a little over 94 years ago. 94 years ago in about, 3.5 months, I would say. Oh. Let's see. Directed by John Foster and George Stallings, this cartoon features Tom and Jerry escaping the rain by taking shelter in a haunted house. Now, this particular, of course, plot is played out in a number of cartoons, including a later episode of the MGM's Tom and Jerry cartoon. Bugs Bunny had an episode like this. Of course, those meddling kids genre of that started with Scooby-Doo also had a lot. Well, theirs is almost all of it was all that. But anyways, it has very similar vibes to Scooby-Doo. Foster would go on to create Gandy Goose for Terrytoons. Mm-hmm. Yes. I mean, some of the talent that started out with Van Buren would move on to other studios. John Foster, course, one of the ones who moved on to Terry Toons, who were doing cartoons for 20th Century to be distributed by 20th Century Fox. Terry Toons, of course, most people know Mighty Mouse and Heckle and Jekyll from there, but also they had Candy Goose, Farm Alfalfa. So, number 3, where they got their names. One theory is that they were named after the Tom and Jerry cocktail, a drink featuring brandy or rum, eggs, spices, and hot milk or water. The Tom and Jerry was famed for its spicy. Okay, so I guess the drink with spicy notes, and either popularized or invented by a bartender who went by Professor Jerry Thomas, who said he named it after his 2 pet mice. And I guess here's another theory on where they got their names. I guess they're going to pitch out there. So, another theory behind the character names is that they were named after another pair of troublemaking characters, Tom and Jerry. In Pierce Egan's book Life in London, Egan's Tom and Jerry were a couple of Regency era cads who went around pranking people and causing trouble. The book was published but remained popular enough to require a reprint in 1904. Eventually, the book was adapted into a play, which had a shortened title, Tom and Jerry. Evolution, number 5 here. Originally, the characters were supposed to be animals, but not a cat and mouse. Rather, Tom was supposed to be a dog, and Jerry was supposed to be a cat. So that would have been interesting. So you have one cartoon where later it came later as a cat and mouse, and originally they were going to do a dog and cat cartoon here with this Tom and Jerry. That would have been a very interesting concept. Let's see what happened here. John Foster, George Starling, and George Ruffel made the executive decision change the characters into humans. And if you notice the art there in the drawing, they were kind of more like they were borderline. Well, they still had some depth, and they were closer to stick figures than anything else. Really think about it. Number 6, their jobs. As characters of the Great Depression, Tom and Jerry reflected the times they lived in by working various odd jobs to make ends meet. Each cartoon, they have a new gig. They have been accident lawyers, plumbers, bakers, and more. And we saw a lot. We saw some of this also in other cartoons of that time period, like Popeye, Betty Boop. Even some of the earlier Looney Tunes cartoons as well. I didn't create. You had some with Crazy Cat, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit as well. Anyways, number 7, music. Each cartoon also features a new original song performed by Tom and Jerry. Sound and film was still new, so Tom and Jerry was one of the first cartoons to feature synchronized sound. And time the animation to flow with the music. Voice actors. This is normally where we tell you that the voice actor is so-and-so, number 8. And they also voiced all these other cartoon characters. Nope. The voice actors of Tom and Jerry are unknown. Fans speculate that maybe Van Buren Studios shared voice talent with nearby Fleischer. Now, at the time, of course, you did have a few voice actors and voice actresses kind of floating around the studios a bit. You didn't really, wasn't really until I think Mel Blanc signed, I think in 1941-42 with Warner Brothers, where any particular voice actor had like a quote unquote exclusive contract with a particular company. A lot of voice actors and actresses at this time would roam around from studio to studio. Let's see. But we have no concrete evidence for that. One potential contributor was Margie Hines, who voiced Betty Boop. Now, Margie Hines, of course, was the second voice of Betty Boop, the second voice Olive Oyl after Mae Quetzal. She had basically taken on the role of Olive Oyl when Fleischer had moved down to Florida in 1938. Mae Quetzal wanted to stay behind to start up a family. She would eventually retake the role of Olive Oyl when they came back up to New York. Anyways, and had an exclusive contract with Van Buren. Sharp-eared fans have noticed that the songs on Magic Mummy and Tightrope Trick sound like Hines, but we have no actual voice credits for her or anyone else who contributed to the cartoon. Now, mind you, much like the case with Terry Toons and 20th Century Fox, I think because Van Buren and that's part of the reason why they ended up closing in 1936 is that they were kind of a little bit more lower budget, and their cartoons were not quite as successful. So that's why they didn't last beyond 1936. But anyways, name change. Later on, number 9. Later on in television and DVD collections, the series was renamed Dick and Larry, quote unquote, likely to avoid confusion with the other Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry, cat, mouse. Number 10, Joseph Barbera. Now, there's a name, as in Hanna-Barbera, as in the creator of the Cat and Mouse, co-creator of the Cat and Mouse, Tom and Jerry. Before he was half of the animation-powered couple of Hanna-Barbera, Joseph Barbera took his first steps as an animator at Van Buren Studios. He worked on this Tom and Jerry as a scenario writer and animator before leaving to work at MGM's animation department. Number 11, The End. The series began to fade in 1933 when Van Buren fired Foster, who had been the heart and soul of the Tom and Jerry series. Stallings took over, but his attention was redirected to other Van Buren cartoons. Tom and Jerry ended with The Phantom Rocket in 1933 after 2 years and 26 cartoons. 7 years later, so from 1933, a new cartoon about a cat and a mouse would premiere, Puss Gets the Boot. After the first cartoon's success, Joseph Barbera pulled 2 names out of a hat to christen the 2 characters, and the names he pulled were Tom and Jerry. Now, there are some reports I've read where originally Tom Cat and Jerry Mouse, MGM's Tom and Jerry, were originally named Jasper and Jinx. So, watch Cartoon All-Stars on MeTV Tunes, weekdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, 7 Pacific, and Saturdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, 7 Pacific. Alrighty then, so there we go. That's all we're going to do for the article tonight, 45 minutes. So, anyways, we're gonna move on to the wrestling wrap up. Move on to the wrestling wrap up, and we're gonna take a look back at last night's Monday Night Raw and look ahead to tonight's NXT. See what's all going down there. So I, of course, pull all that up. And then afterwards, of course, we'll get into this day and niche history. So, anyways, first off, heading back to last night and talk about last night's Monday Night Raw, as they, of course, are continuing the build towards next Saturday's Survivor Series. So last night Raw, John Cena's last Raw, with Wade Barrett and Joe Testatora on commentary, coming from Madison Square Garden in New York City. The opening match actually saw in an all-star six-man tag match, John Cena teamed with Rey Mysterio and Sheamus take on the Judgment Day of Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, and JD McDonough. And also, I believe, set up, after the match was John Cena to defend the Intercontinental title against Dominic Mysterio coming up at Survivor Series. In the last time, so in the two last time is now tournament first round matches to see who will face John Cena at next month's Saturday Night's Main Event on December the 13th. The first match of the first round matches that aired last night, Solo Sikoa of the MFTs with Tala Tonga on commentary, defeated the returning Dolph Ziggler, who's of course wrestling under his real name of Nick Nemeth on TNA right now. There's been a lot of, and after coming back last night and having a good showing, a lot of fans are calling for WWE to bring Dolph Ziggler back. It's a question of whether or not Ziggler wants to come back. And in the main event of the evening saw, in the other first round match, Gunther defeat NXT sensation Javon Evans, a 21-year-old who is looked at as not just, some people are calling him both the present and future of WWE. And in between the two matches, Becky Lynch defended the Women's Intercontinental title against Maxine Dupree, only for Dupree to win it with some help from the returning AJ Lee, as now it's been confirmed that AJ Lee will be on the face side of the women's War Games match coming up on next weekend's Survivor Series. So that's all that went down on last night's Monday Night Raw. Now let's talk about what's going to be going down on tonight's NXT, which I believe will be taking place at the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. Actually, they're taping two. I think there's a double taping due. I think in part to the Thanksgiving holiday next week. But so on tonight's Gold Rush. Actually, the NXT show will be a combined event between NXT brand, TNA, and AAA from down in Mexico. Be airing on tonight's show. Will be airing on live on CW. In a match for the AAA World Mixed Tag Team titles, Chelsea Green and Ethan Page, who are also the Women's United States and NXT North American champion as well, will be defending the World Mixed Tag titles against Joe Hendry and Thea Hall. Joe Hendry, it was recently announced that WWE had apparently bought out Joe Hendry's TNA contract, now will be on WWE television moving forward. In a match for the Women's North American title, it's slated to be Blake Monroe to defend against former North American Women's North American champion Sol Ruca, I guess coming back from injury. She's been down injured. In a match of the WWE NXT Tag Team titles, Osiris Griffin and Dion Lennox with Cutler James and Taquan Sugars in their corner will be taking on the team of Javon Evans and TNA X Division champion Leon Slater. And in a match for the NXT Women's title, Tatum Packley of the Culling with the other members of the Culling in her corner will be taking on the former champion JC Jane gets her contractual rematch on tonight's Gold Rush. So 4 big title matches coming up on tonight's NXT. All right, so with that, we will now, of course, get ready to move on to. So today is Tuesday, November the 18th, 2025. So let's take a look back at this day in Niche history. So 2009. 2009. 1965, 2000, and 1995. All right. So first off, we're gonna head back 60 years ago, and on this date, 60 years ago, back in 1965, on this day in each history here. On this date, back in 1965, in Montreal, the patriarch of the Rougeau family, Johnny Rougeau, would defeat Hans Schmidt to become the All-Star Wrestling world champion. So on this date, 60 years ago today, Johnny Rougeau would defeat Hans Schmidt to become the All-Star Wrestling champion in Montreal. And yes, many promotions throughout North America were named All-Star Wrestling. So just so you know. So anyways, getting ready to move on to the next piece in each history here. Moving ahead to the year 1995, so 30 years ago today. On this date, 30 years ago today, Production IG, Bandai Visual, and Manga Entertainment's Ghost in the Shell, the film that spawned the TV show, the anime, premiered on this date back in 1999. So 30 years ago today, Ghost in the Shell, which is a 1995 Japanese animated tech noir cyberpunk action thriller film directed by Mamoru Oshii from a screenplay by Kazunori Ito based on the 1989 manga by Masamune Shiro. Sorry. So basically it was a co-production, of course, of Kodansha, Bandai Visual, and Manga Entertainment with animation done by Production IG. So 30 years ago today, the anime movie Ghost in the Shell premiered in Japanese theaters on its date back in 1995. So anyways, moving on to the next piece in each history as we move ahead to the year 2000. On this date in the year 2000, so on this date in the year 2000, Mainframe Entertainment and Hasbro's Transformers Beast Machines would conclude its run on TV on television on this date back in 2000. So 25 years ago today, Mainframe Entertainment and Hasbro's Transformers Beast Machines would complete its run on television on this date back in the year 2000. And also, so now with that being said, now moving ahead to the year 2009, which of course was 16 years ago today. On this date, 16 years ago today, the 15th issue of Air from DC's Vertigo line went on sale on this date back in 2009. 16 years ago today, 15th issue of DC Vertigo's Air went on sale on this date. The title of Earhart, as written by G. Willow Wilson, the art by M.K. Parker, Jared K. Fletcher did the lettering, and Christopher Chuckry did the coloring. All right, so with all that being said, I hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed learning a little bit more about some, cartoon history. Of course, we'll be back with more Niche News tomorrow. So hopefully I'll see you back then. And then don't forget this Sunday I'll be joined by Apex from Apex Comics. So we'll be looking back at comics that went on sale in July 1940 from Harvey. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. And I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.